Jesus said to them, "Do you bring in a lamp and put it under a large bowl or bed? Don't you put it on its stand? What is hidden is meant to be seen, and what is put out of sight is meant to be brought up out into the open. Whoever has ears should listen. Think carefully about what you hear," he said. "As you give, so you will receive. In fact, you will receive even more. Whoever has something will be given more. Whoever has nothing, even that they have will be taken away from them."
Good morning, Middletown. For the month of August, we're going to take advantage of the time we're now spending at home and invite you to watch a handful of movies which will become the basis for Sunday morning sermons. Each of these movies are entertaining in their own right, but we will be picking movies that also have theological implications which underpin their message. Most of these movies had good success as widely distributed films, while Hamilton, a stage phenomenon, is now available on Disney Plus as a film of the actual Broadway production. As we all know, these are unusual times. So we invite you to take this film journey with us and hope you will find some value and inspiration in the messages they offer. I start this series, as I must being from Iowa, with a film that is truly my favorite, and I hope one of yours as well. When I think of any movie and its various themes, it is hard for me to find one that touches so many issues that have theological implications as does The Field of Dreams. Think about it. Disembodied voices that invite someone to do something that seems unreasonable, and visions of things that might be, along with unresolved guilt, opportunities to discover true purpose in life, and journeys that tie lives together in search of fulfilled hopes. In some ways, we can find a very real Easter theme in this movie about life after death and the hope for reconciliation. So let's delve into this a little further and review several parts of this movie as we share our time together. As the movie begins, an Iowa farmer keeps hearing a voice that says, "If you build it, he will come." Soon realizing that it refers to the baseball diamond in the middle of his farm, and he refers to Shoeless Joe Jackson and 7 other long-dead members of the Chicago White Sox accused of throwing the 1919 World Series. After being haunted by this voice, he relents and builds the field in the middle of the corn. As soon as it's completed, people who had left this life many years ago with unfinished business came out to finish the game. It offers a second chance. It becomes a field of dreams for the dead and the living. Here, the controversy of that World Series is put aside to live the dream as those 8 players come out of the cornfield each day to play ball with those who come out of the corn to join them. Unbelievable? Well, maybe. But no more than are those stories related to miracles and other happenings in our scriptural tradition. As the movie unfolds, the journey of Terrence Mann, an activist writer of the 60s, and Dr. Moonlight Graham, a small-town doctor from Minnesota with hopes of playing in the big leagues, are intertwined as we discover their unresolved hopes and their need to come to their own field of dreams. The main character, Ray Kinsella, played by Kevin Costner, carries the largest burden as he remembers his final words with his father, angry words that he wishes he could take back, but of course he never could. It is all of this and so much more that gives us a setting where life and death intersect, and on the field almost anything can and does happen. For me, the movie's finest points are not so much in the supernatural experiences of ghosts on the field, but are in full display in the loving support of a wife when everything is at risk, and the innocent trust of a daughter who always believes in her dad. That power of relationship that grows from consistency of word and deed. It may appear that the husband and father has gone crazy when he plows up his cash crop, but both wife and daughter are able to set the temptation to doubt aside and trust in the one they have come to love. It's this type of relationship where Jesus is most effective with his disciples. It's after traveling life together that they simply are willing to lay down their doubts and trust that whatever Christ calls them to do, for no other reason that he feels they need to do it, is appropriate. The power of relationship is the key to faith, to how people come to know God in the first place. Statistics say that over 80% of people who come to a church do so because a family member or a friend invites them. It's because of a relationship that people are open to the relationship offered by Christ with God. Our scripture speaks of taking light from under a bushel and shining for all to see. This is where your influence of relationship intersects with the invitation to consider a life of faith. If what you say you believe is also consistent with how others see you living your life, then your light will draw people in. Somehow an Iowa farmer's faith in the impossible dream eventually captured the hearts of people craving things they didn't even know they were missing. He sums up so much of this when he says, "We don't recognize the most significant moments of our lives while they're happening. Until I heard the voice, I'd never done a crazy thing in my whole life." The primal voice of life calls us out of the ruts of certainty, where we're comfortable with life as it is, where life is black and white and predictable and comfortable. Shoeless Joe Jackson's asked if this is heaven. "No, it's Iowa," responds Ray, "but we know better." We get this very real sense that when we respond to the crazy God who calls us out of the doldrums to the playing field of each ordinary day, heaven has come to earth. The final scene is my favorite, and yet for today's discussion, seems to be just a detail. When we truly find out the reason Ray was told to build the Field of Dreams was so that his own dream of reconciliation with his dead father could be fulfilled. It is in that moment, where two men, father and son, play catch, that the story begins to feel fair and just for Ray. Up to that point, only others seem to be rewarded in their search. But when Ray seeks and receives reconciliation with his father, the circle feels complete. This film argues quite effectively that through the power of everything a person does, some spiritual power is awakened. By doing what we believe we must do, we awaken in the universe a power that is far beyond anything we could ever hope to understand. Amid all the ridicule of neighbors, family, and logic, the Iowa farmer follows the voice, and at the end of the movie, the camera pans back up from the field into the distant evening, and out on the road, as far as one can see, are the headlights of seemingly thousands of cars silently winding their way towards the grandstand in the cornfield. Their dreams intertwines inextricably with the dream of the White Sox, Terrence Mann, Doc Graham, and this farmer, Ray Kinsella. The believable and the unbelievable are indistinguishable. The past and the future are present with no line of demarcation. In many ways, the final scene seems to reflect the very real possibility of heaven on earth. Sometimes we can glimpse heaven in each other. Sometimes we can live it for a moment. And other times we know we've been there when we look back over our lives and know that God has walked life's journey with us. You and I are called to be light for a darkened world. It will require risk, and sometimes it requires stretching ourselves beyond what we feel is reasonable. We don't recognize the most significant moments of our lives until they're happening. Until I heard the voice, I'd never done a crazy thing in my whole life. So get a little crazy. Stand up for what you believe in. Shine your light even when others say you shouldn't. We all have a field of dreams we pursue, but maybe, just maybe, you're being invited to help build one so that others might find what they are missing as well. Have a great week.